what Stipe Miocic was able to accomplish this weekend against Francis Ngannou. I mean, what a way to set the record. Really a special fighter here, and obviously a massive win and weekend for Stipe.
I'll tell you what, it was an exceptional performance, and I think one of the things that maybe got overlooked because there was so much to digest from that fight is his ability to not only withstand the damage, but that first round, Ngannou used a lot of energy, but it also took a lot of Stipe's energy. And I think the fact that Stipe was able to absorb that, deal with that pace, and then start to execute takedowns that take a lot of energy on a guy as strong as Francis Ngannou, and just drive through for 5 straight rounds. A guy at that size in this weight division, that's special. It's the reason why people can't defend that title. It is exceptionally harder for men of this size to do this sport at the elite level. And Stipe doesn't have just elite skills. He's got elite level heart where he can push past a certain threshold in a state of exhaustion that is going to make him very, very difficult to beat going forward.
Brian, couldn't agree with you more, man. Obviously, you talked about that title, how hard it is to defend it. Even harder to do in the heavyweight division. Stipe Miocic, the first guy to defend it 3 times. If he never fights Cain Velasquez, is he the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's beaten Junior Dos Santos, who owns a win over Cain Velasquez, and he's beaten him. And, you know, in their first fight, a lot of people argued that he beat him. He's beaten greats like Mark Hunt. I think when you look at the body of work that Stipe has done, he's been the most well-rounded, athletic, find a way to beat you going around your strength or through your strength type of guy. And he's got exceptional athleticism, cardio, not to mention the fact he's done all of this with a full-time job. People don't like us to talk about this when we're actually working for the UFC.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He's done this with a full-time job as a firefighter. Look, sign me up. If my family is burning in a building, a house, I don't care anywhere, please let Stipe be the guy that comes rolling along to help them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I did ask him on Thursday. I was like, dude, how many shifts are you working at the fire department every week? You know, and he didn't give me a straight answer necessarily, but he has shaved down that schedule, thankfully. So as we spin it forward for Stipe, and I think historically it is a little bit difficult to put him into context, I would say Cain was always like a bigger betting favorite. And I feel like people always felt like Cain Velasquez beating him was just this daunting task, whereas maybe people don't feel that way about Stipe. But do you feel like Daniel Cormier moving up is the next fight? Do you feel like Cain Velasquez is the next fight? What do you think will be this 4th defense here for Stipe?
I think it's going to end up being Cain. And I think the reason why people view Cain in that light is just we had never seen a heavyweight do some of the things that Cain Velasquez was able to do at the pace he was able to do them. I mean, he had a couple of performances that were exceptional performances, historical performances for a heavyweight. You know, his fight against Junior Dos Santos, to do what he did, you know, that was probably a more overall impressive performance than maybe one single performance we've seen from Stipe. But Stipe's consistency and his growth and his ability to not be injured as often as Cain has, and then have performances like we saw Cain have against Verdum in Mexico City, that's what makes Stipe the better guy, in my opinion. And that's why I think he'll be a betting favorite against Cain Velasquez. Now, erase all of that. If Daniel Cormier chooses to move up a weight division, he can win that fight.
Yeah,
I do believe that, and Stipe can as well. But, boy, I would think that Daniel Cormier may even be a favorite in that fight because he fought so well against heavyweights when he really didn't know much about this sport.
Right. That's a good point. 13-0 as a heavyweight was Daniel Cormier before moving down. All right, final thing on UFC 220 then. In terms of DC's win over Volkan Oezdemir, I mean, man, did he smash this guy. And he probably said 400 times during fight week, dude, I'm just going to smash this guy. He went out and did exactly that. I guess he picked the right fight bride to have his kids in the crowd for.
He really did. And I thought that mid-round 1, when DC abandoned his clinch-first strategy and he just went to straight kickboxing, I thought he looked phenomenal, and I thought he showed and out-kickboxed Volkan Oezdemir. The spiraling downward for Volkan happened after Daniel rocked him on the feet with kickboxing and then went to his wrestling, which was smart, right? Finish him on the ground, avoid taking those big shots, because some of those shots, an inch or two left or right, could have really hurt DC. But I think that it was overlooked how good Daniel Cormier's striking has gotten. And if you go back and look at his last fight against John Jones in those first couple of rounds, They were close rounds, but you could see some marked improvement in Daniel Cormier's ability to close distance, put together combinations, utilize kicks, land big right hands and left hooks that are really going to be interesting if he does rematch with Alexander Gustafsson, who put forth one of the most beautiful striking performances in light heavyweight history against Glover Teixeira. That is a fun aspect of DC's game that has significantly improved since they fought the first time.
Yeah, very interesting. I did speak with DC this morning, and we talked a little bit about what's a tougher fight for him, Stipe or Alexander Gustafsson, and we talked about it a little bit off the top of the show. But, all right, I want to table that for a second and get to the Super Bowl stuff before we let you get back to the primary gig. By the way, finals are in the can, right? I know you're chasing that executive MBA. I couldn't pass those tests. How were final exams okay for you?
Oh, it was a challenge, right? There's a lot of people in my cohort who they have jobs that don't require as many hours as mine do right now.
Yeah.
And so taking finals in finance, accounting, statistics, marketing,
terrible.
There was a lot of quant style finals that I had to take. And look, they're ongoing, right? I'm already in 4 new classes right now, and it has been challenging. It's been enlightening. It's been humbling. And I'm working with people from around the globe to where I'm learning an incredible amount about myself, about business, about marketing, about accounting and finance in areas that I wanted to grow in. And so it's been worth every penny and every minute of time so far, but it is definitely not without its challenges.
And he does all of this without the benefit of Adderall, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely incredible. All right, I'll let you get out of here on this. Kenny's like, what are you doing? You're trying to get us thrown off Fox, you fucking idiot. All right, final thing, because I know you have to go. The last pro football championship in Philadelphia, 1960. I know the Phillies won a World Series title in 2008. I don't know how much that moved your needle. What would this mean for the city to exact some revenge for that 2004 Super Bowl, to beat Brady and Belichick and parade on Broad Street and everywhere else there in downtown Philly, man?
Look, here's what it means. For the city, it would be huge, right? I don't live there. I'm not going to pretend like I do. For me personally, as a man who has sat in a million Buffalo Wild Wings amongst obnoxious fans to watch one screen and beg them to show the Eagles game, who has watched every down of every game outside of the season that I was in Iraq for, I will, honest to God, I will shed tears if they're able to win this Super Bowl. I will cry. And, another piece to it was, Travis Mannion, who was one of my closest friends in the world, who was killed in Fallujah, was a huge, huge Eagles fan. And so it'll be one of those things that's pretty sentimental and, in the back of my mind as well. He's not here to watch this, but if he's got any sway with the big man, because I feel like the big man is very much still making us pay for what we did to Santa Claus. And so I'm hoping that Travis can maybe sway his opinion a little bit. I mean, we already lost Jason Peters. We lost Carson Wentz. Enough. Yeah. Give us a break. Tom Brady's life is the most perfect life that's ever existed on this planet. Can he have one bad day? Please. One bad day is all I'm asking.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe it'll be February 4th. No. And if you do have suggestions, Ken Flo and I are hoping that doesn't happen. If you have suggestions for what our Super Bowl bet should be, many of you will remember Stann was brought in by Dan Quinn, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, a couple seasons ago to be a coach. So he does have some Falcons fan in there. So we did a Super Bowl bet last year. Brian had to get his legs waxed, and he did make good on that bet. So if you have suggestions for the 2018 bet here, Eagles are getting 5.5 points here, Bri. We got to get creative here for the 2018 version.
So I thought about one thing, and it's a horrible idea because I seem to lose all my bets with you. I thought about an earring.
Oh, God.
This is a really terrible way to go, right? Who bets something as extreme as an earring when they're going against Tom Brady? But I want to dwell on that a little bit, and I'd love to get some suggestions from the fans on what our bet should be because I'm trying to run a pretty prestigious company here. Me walking in here with an earring is going to be a real dent in my brand.
Brian, how about a hoop earring? I want like a pirate. They just count. No, that would be great.
If we're going to do it, it's got to be the '80s hanging cross. Like we're going Lost Boys style.
The long feather, like Mr. T. Yes,
I actually think it's a great idea. I think we should have to get both ears pierced and keep them in for 2 weeks. I can't. You know, Craig Borsari ain't letting me wear them on TV, but I think there's something here, Brian. So we'll continue the discussion off the air. But you brought a lot to the table here today. I think this is what we're gonna do. The loser's gonna have to get his ears pierced. Both of them.
My God!
So.
I shouldn't open my mouth.
Hey, thank you for the time, man, and for you and everybody else in Philadelphia Eagles land. Congratulations, and we wish you all the best against TB12 in 2 weeks, buddy. Have a good week, all right?
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks, Dan.